After 30 years of marriage, my wife started acting strange about 6 to 9 months ago. She became distant, almost as if she was living in a different world. I finally built up the nerve to ask if I still made her happy. Her reaction was a bombshell. She got furious, as if I'd committed some unforgivable sin by asking. When I tried bringing it up again, she shut down even more. This week she told me straight out that there was nothing left to talk about between us. She'd already seen a lawyer 2 weeks prior and demanded my financial records. She also flat out refused to go to couples therapy, recalling how 15 years ago, the therapist had dismissed her because she wouldn't admit to having any flaws. I told her that if she truly wanted a divorce, I would honor her wishes. However, I suggested that after 3 decades together, we should at least try a trial separation first. She reluctantly agreed, but insisted she could end the separation at any time. When it came to telling our kids, age 25, 23, 21, 17, and 12, she heartlessly remarked that they probably wouldn't be surprised. A week later, she moved into another bedroom. During a family dinner at a sports bar, she suddenly blurted out to the kids, "You might have noticed I'm not wearing my wedding ring. This marriage is over." 2 of our children bolted to the parking lot, tears streaming down their faces. I chased after them to comfort them, while she sat there unmoved. Our kids have been avoiding her since. We're both in our early 50s, but over the past year, she's been acting like she's in her 20s, obsessed with fitness, spending hours at the beach, and going out with friends all the time. She hasn't worked in 27 years, and I've always been the sole provider for our family. Desperation led me to check her phone records. She's been texting several people, some guys and girls I've never heard of, from dawn till midnight. While most texts were to the girls, the constant communication with the guys raised red flags. Despite being a devout Christian, I suspect she's involved in an emotional affair, if not a physical one. I'm at a loss, stuck in this painful limbo. A lawyer advised me not to leave our home. As a doctor, I'm sometimes away at the hospital for up to 24 hours. When I'm home, she barely speaks to me unless I initiate the conversation. She guards her phone like it's a state secret, stepping outside to take calls. She hasn't served me with divorce papers yet, but I started checking her phone records after she announced her intention to divorce. For a year now, she's shown all the classic signs: tanning, obsessing over her phone, incessant texting, and suddenly having a new best friend. The phone records confirmed my suspicions, showing a surge in texts starting in June. Every day there were texts and calls beginning in the morning, and she'd spend hours at the beach while the kids were at school. The most painful moment was when she was texting this guy while telling our kids our marriage was over. When I confronted her with the guy's name, she denied everything. But when I showed her the phone records, she claimed they were just beach buddies. This was right after she fainted in church on Sunday, probably from guilt after spending Saturday evening with him while I was working overnight. Then she had the audacity to tell me I needed to leave our home. I firmly told her no. It's my house, and I haven't done anything wrong. I've contacted my lawyer. How can she think she can kick me out of my own home and away from my kids when she's the one who's been unfaithful? This ordeal has been excruciating. I'm riding an emotional roller coaster, anger, sadness, and a strange sense of relief that my suspicions were right all along. They say the truth sets you free, and maybe it does. Oh, and I should mention, I drove by his beachfront condo on my way to work at 7:30 a.m. and snapped a picture of her car. I've got my proof, but I need to be cautious because of my job. Getting arrested isn't an option for me. I'm currently at the hospital on an overnight shift. She's never had to work a day in her life. I've provided everything for her. She even went on 2 cruises this year, and 6 weeks after we returned, she turned cold and started seeing this guy. We have 5 kids together. I'm not perfect, but I'm not a bad guy. Maybe I'm just too nice. What shocks me is how she can lie even when confronted with evidence. The look in her eyes was that of a stranger, not the woman I've known for 30 years. On a lighter note, after discovering who the guy was, I sent him a friend request on Facebook and watched her phone light up with notifications. I hired the toughest lawyer I could find, a guy she despises because he deposed her in a friend's divorce case. He was thrilled when I handed over the photos and phone records. I gave her everything out of love, but I won't make that mistake again. I've told the older kids about her new boyfriend, but I'm struggling with how to break the news to the 12 and 17-year-olds. I've informed my partners that I'm taking some time off to be with the kids and will reduce my workload. The older kids have stopped talking to her. I've also told her siblings and our priest, given her prominent role in the church and social circles. She's made her bed, and now she can lie in it with her new man. I sent an email to her family members with the phone records and photos. Her party days are over. I wrote a letter detailing her affair and sent it to her Facebook friends, family, and our priest. I even called her brother. I went to the bank, opened a new account, transferred money, and left town for a weekend medical conference. I told the kids, who weren't surprised. I canceled the credit cards and listened to Eminem's I'm Not Afraid all day. It's an anthem for anyone going through a similar situation. Now I'm focusing on the other guy. He's divorced, no family. I'm planning to deal with him legally, of course. I told my wife that my lawyer and I look forward to his deposition. I like the idea of packing her clothes in a trash bag and leaving them at his door with a note. Fortunately, he's divorced with no kids. I know where he works. He has a security clearance for a defense contractor. I emailed the CEO, suggesting they check his security clearance. Adultery isn't looked upon kindly by the military. Then I watched their phones blow up with notifications. A friendly email to his HR department, and the CEO seemed like a good idea. It's a small town, after all. One last thing on my to-do list. When I get back in town, I'm going to take the advice to dump her clothes at his place with a note. After that, I'm done. To the guys out there, it's been a wild week, but trust your instincts. If you think she's cheating, she probably is. Do your homework and follow the advice you find. You'll find the peace you're seeking. Don't let anyone walk all over you. Phone records, texts, photos of her car at his place on multiple occasions, them at the beach together. The evidence was undeniable. And yet, she still tried to justify it. A friend of my wife had the nerve to tell my son that my wife and her new fling have so much in common and that she hasn't been happy for a long time. My son, showing remarkable maturity, told her exactly where she could shove that comment. Meanwhile, my wife is playing the victim card, telling her sister that it's all my fault she turned to another man. Now that I'm back in town, she's strutting around like she's untouchable, spreading lies about how I drove her to this. She even called me fat. Can you believe it? I'm 6 feet tall and 240 pounds, definitely not obese. I confronted her about the $4,000 necklace I gave her for our anniversary just 6 weeks ago. I told her how ironic it was that she served me communion at church all last month, only to turn around and play these mind games. She's acting like a rebellious teenager, crashing at her best friend's sister's place. But she's the one sleeping on the couch. I've reclaimed my bed. She's spreading lies, telling everyone I'm crazy and that her affair is all in my head. Checking her email, I discovered she has 2 particularly toxic female friends. One is a manipulator whose husband is a pushover, and the other recently divorced my wife's first boyfriend from 40 years ago. Her divorce was finalized 6 weeks ago, and now she's coaching my wife through this mess. The kids have told me she's been buying alcohol, even though her friends have begged her not to drink. They think I'm trying to paint her as an unfit mother, which wasn't my intention at all. I found out she shared our private emails with her girlfriends, and they're all gossiping about our situation. How twisted is that? She deserves an Oscar for her performance. Today's update. Back in July, she told my best friend's wife that she was planning to leave me and wanted to start doing things for herself. Keep in mind, she hasn't worked in 28 years. She claims I squandered her inheritance, but she blew $40,000 in one afternoon on art and jewelry. I hope I can find the receipts this week to show the judge how disconnected from reality she is. I discovered she had an IT guy over at the house today. What could she be looking for on my laptop? It's been with me all day, so there's no way she could have accessed it. The IT guy used to be a network admin for Viper Technologies and is now freelancing. I found a conversation between them from earlier in the day, confirming she's digging for information. She wasn't expecting me to have evidence against her. I just need to find the receipt for the $40,000 worth of jewelry she bought in one afternoon to show the judge. It's tough being 3 hours away for another day, knowing she could be selling my stuff. But I'm seeing my lawyer tomorrow, and he's a tough guy. I'm considering filing here in the city, which would be a different venue than the small town where we live and where her family has been for 100 years. I need to get ahead of her since she's already 2 lawyer visits ahead of me. How quickly can one file? Also, how do I get my name off the title to her car So if she gets drunk and crashes it, I'm not liable. I'm back home now and she's stomping around like a toddler, glued to her cell phone, chatting with a new number I suspect belongs to the other man. I overheard her saying, "I love you" to whoever was on the other end. It's a new unlisted number. I've set up a new password-protected router to keep up the pressure. I'm puzzled why she hasn't filed for divorce yet. It's been a month since she mentioned her lawyer needed my financial affidavit, and I've seen nothing. I told her to have her lawyer contact mine, but still nothing. I've decided to let her file first as she claims she would, so my kids will always know she was the one who ended it. Unless this drags on for another month, then I'll take the initiative. What's her game plan? Did her lawyer give her a reality check because between her first and second visits to him, I exposed the affair? I'm trying to stay one step ahead of her game. I had my lawyer send a letter to hers and installed a new password-protected router. She was livid. Between that and finding out she had no money in the bank yesterday, my lawyer said cutting off her funds will speed up her actions. Good thing I did because when I got home, I found a receipt for a new Victoria's Secret bra from this week. We live in a conservative area, and it's a no-fault state, so assets will be split 50-50ths. But her alimony claim just took a significant hit. The hardest part is doing the 180 with the kids around. Any tips? I'm not being angry or hostile in my interactions with her, just concise and direct. I engage in a bit of small talk, to which she responds tersely. She's stomping around the house like a toddler in a tantrum, dripping with sarcasm. It's like watching an addict who's had their fix taken away. Should the kids be witnessing this? I'm careful not to badmouth her in front of the kids, but my son's football game is on Friday night, and I don't want to be near her, but I want to support him. So how do I maintain the 180 around the kids? I can't wrap my head around this limbo. She said she wanted a divorce, got caught red-handed, and now she's just being a distant, bitter person. She won't talk to me. No explanation, even when faced with the evidence and her telling my son all about the other man. I put on a brave face, but this is wearing me down too. I've lost 20 pounds in 4 weeks. I can't sleep and keep having intrusive thoughts. It's not so much self-doubt as it is exhaustion. I've been awake and working for 28 hours while she's been running around gaslighting me. The latest news is that her favorite toxic friend came over yesterday. They're staying at the beach house in her family's compound and took my 12-year-old daughter with them. My daughter texted that she wants to see me. This toxic friend is my wife's puppet master. It's my wife's family compound where she's holed up with her toxic friend at the beach house. My wife owns it. They're taking my daughter with them to my son's football game tonight. I assured my daughter that I'd be there. I've got my voice-activated recorder on me. What a load of cowardly nonsense. This is the same beach house I suggested my soon-to-be ex move to 2 weeks ago, or move in with her toxic friend. I'm feeling better tonight. I showed up at the ball game dressed sharp. We sat separately. She had my 12-year-old daughter and her toxic friend with her. My daughter texted that she wanted to sit with me. She asked her mom, who made excuses and said no. So I went and stood at the bottom of the aisle and looked at my soon-to-be ex. She couldn't meet my gaze for the first time and looked genuinely guilty. I even saw a tear. My daughter tried to get up and was told no again, so I just kept staring at my wife and her friend without saying a word. I was just 30 feet away. Eventually, my daughter came with me, and we had a good time. I found out that my soon-to-be ex now has a secret phone she keeps in her lap, constantly texting. I felt nothing but contempt for her. She looked so lost in her addiction. I texted her, reminding her to familiarize herself with the law before trying to keep me from seeing my kids. I hadn't seen my daughter in 2 days. I feel better and ready to face anything. I might now go for full custody since I found out about the secret phone. I turned off her regular cell, telling her that if the kids need her, they can call on the boyfriend line. Today's voice-activated recorder revelations showed that this has been a long time in the making, concocted by her and her toxic friend. The affair wasn't something I was ever supposed to uncover. She had it meticulously planned. I was meant to leave 4 weeks ago when she demanded a swift divorce. Her new man was set to move in as soon as his condo lease expired. They even concocted a scheme to fabricate a domestic abuse claim against me to force me out of the house. Tonight, the husband of her toxic friend is supposed to confront me with accusations of harassment, but I've already prepped my lawyer and my recorder is ready. If that plan fails, they have a plan B. She's starting to crack under the pressure, and has been on the phone with her lawyer all day. It's hard to believe, but this is the reality I'm living. Her voice on the phone is so cold and calculating, it's chilling. What a fool I've been. I've got my 22-year-old son with me. He knows the plan and understands not to react. Meanwhile, my soon-to-be ex-wife spent the day at church with her toxic friend and even had her new man make a guest appearance. Honestly, it's taking every ounce of self-control not to go to Mass and play the recording for everyone. I wish every husband who suspects his wife of cheating could hear these recordings. Neither the new man nor the toxic friend's husband showed up tonight, so it looks like they'll proceed with Plan B on Monday when she tries to secure money to move out. At least her toxic friend has left, and I had a peaceful dinner with my kids. What baffles me is why she's still whispering to her new man in the recordings. What's the point? Everyone knows now. I keep my voice-activated recorder by my bedside with my phone, and I can't wait to hear tomorrow's recordings. I finally had a full meal tonight, 9 days after discovering the affair. I've lost 25 pounds in just 4 weeks. My horoscope today said I'd find something I lost, and I did. My self-respect. I wonder if she'll ever feel any remorse for the pain she's caused our children and me. Will she ever realize how low she's stooped? I take solace in the fact that statistically, only 10% of affairs turn into lasting relationships. I want her to feel the same pain we're going through. Last night was rough. The nights always are, but the sun eventually rises. I confronted her about having her new man meet her at church yesterday and told her it was unacceptable. She finally admitted guilt, saying, "Okay." I made it clear that he was not to be around our children, period. I also informed our priest about the situation. She claimed our divorce was just between us, but I countered, "No, you brought a third party into our marriage." I spoke with my lawyer this morning, and we're planning to force her to move out this week so her new man can come play house with her. Her backup plan is to push me out, let her new man move in, and then I stop paying the mortgage. A war of attrition. So far, after fully exposing her, I've cut off her resources. Her communication is compromised, she's been rejected, and she's got a lonely husband to contend with. I don't care about her feelings. I want her to crash and burn and realize what a foolish woman she's been. I want her to feel the pain she's inflicted on our children and me. She can go kick rocks. What's astonishing about the situation is how she's changed over the past 9 months. One of the reasons I chose her as my wife was because she never played these childish games, until now. It's like she's become an evil doppelganger that I didn't know existed. It feels like a scene out of The Exorcist. She can't possibly think I'm that naive, but I realize she's not thinking clearly. She's addicted to the thrill, and her solution is her new man. Our priest called her on Sunday night, and she tried to gaslight him, but she's only digging herself deeper. She denied everything, but the priest knows the evidence I have. I'm heading home to retrieve the voice-activated recorder. Then I'll be at the hospital for a 24-hour shift. I came home early, and she's acting unusually. She's been visiting her lawyer, running errands, and then returning home. She says her lawyer advised her to take me to lunch to negotiate everything, claiming it would keep things out of court and that her lawyer would handle it all for $1,500, promising everything would be settled in 30 days. She's proposing a 50-50 split of the kids, half of my retirement, equal division of debt, and permanent alimony amounting to half my income. She's spinning a web of lies. I let her know that I'm fully aware of her antics. She's so deep into her deception that it's like she's convinced herself it's true. I told her we'd continue the conversation later. She looks worn out, exhausted, and thin. I told her she's free to call him. No need for whispers and sneaky behavior. Do I look like a fool? The fact that the kids are distancing themselves from her is hitting her hard. It's time to play the waiting game, ramp up the pressure, and then go in for the final win. Can you believe she asked me to clean and fix her car this afternoon? Wanted to check out my new shoes? Unbelievable. She said if I loved her, I'd let her make her own choices. She's trying all the feminine tricks, but she looks like a ghost. Do I look like a fool? The emotional roller coaster continues. She cooks me dinner, serves me, then turns gloomy and irritable. She's upset about me exposing the affair she claims doesn't exist. I throw back the evidence of her and her friend, and she's so self-absorbed, correcting the broadcasters like a bipolar alien. I did a 180, went to bed, then left for a 24-hour shift at work. After our afternoon chat, things seem a bit better. We both dished out and received some harsh words during our conversation. It's worth noting that throughout our marriage, we never really had any significant arguments. Clearly, that wasn't a healthy dynamic. This morning, she's all smiles, bubbly, almost hyper. She even folded my laundry. Just a day ago, we agreed that I should leave for the sake of peace. I think she wanted to be caught, knowing that the only way I'd divorce her was if she was involved with another man. She admitted she knew she was being watched. She acknowledged the photos and even admitted she knew she was being recorded. I'm not looking for a fight, but I made it clear that I had evidence of her actions. Our child still won't speak to her. Sadly, I still have feelings for her. I'm a nurturer, a healer. It's just who I am. I told her we'd be in each other's lives for the sake of our kids and wished we had more open conversations like this in the past year. Maybe then we wouldn't be in this situation. She's just testing me. I don't want to destroy her, but I did tell her yesterday that the extent of the lies and deceit was emotionally overwhelming for me, not to mention the other man. I told her I wanted to privately negotiate a settlement if that's what she wanted. I let her know that I could use the evidence I had in court, but I wouldn't do that to our family. I've reached my limit, but what I truly desire is to mend things, but she's not open to it. I'm just trying to buy time at this point. The 180 approach would be simpler if the kids weren't around, so I'm giving it a shot. I've shared with her that the best 29 years of my life were spent with her. This past year, not so great. I'd say we have a slim 5 to 10% chance of patching things up. How to navigate this while she's still in the fog is the question. I did blow the lid off the affair, emailed family, friends, our priest, the other man, and his employer, and our grown-up children. I've come to a tentative agreement on a private settlement with my soon-to-be ex-wife, although the details are far from finalized. She's well aware of the evidence I have against her, and I've made it clear that I reserve the right to use it if necessary. My hope is that this will encourage her to back down. The alternative is a messy court battle over every little detail, which I've assured the kids I want to avoid. She's reluctantly handed over her second cell phone and mentioned wanting to return to school. My primary goal is to reopen lines of communication. I've decided not to move out as planned. Instead, I'll either sleep in my bed or on the floor in another room. Some of my female colleagues have suggested that making her jealous could work in my favor. They believe that if she saw me with an attractive woman, she'd lose it. But I'm not ready to bring up divorce or any relationship drama unless she initiates it. I'm committed to the 180 approach, but it's challenging with the kids around and given my personality. I'm taking the kids on a 4-day trip to my eldest university homecoming. My soon-to-be ex won't be joining us. Our daughter made it clear she's not invited. It's shaping up to be quite the weekend. One of her friends asked her if she's really going ahead with the divorce, and she said yes, claiming I pushed her to cross the line. Her grievances with me over the past year have been my changing religious beliefs, my weight gain, and what she calls my dullness. While I still attend church, my beliefs have evolved. I spoke with our priest who reassured me that my beliefs are my own, while she remains rigid and unchanging. Yes, I've put on some weight, and my diet at work isn't the best. I've become less active, more engrossed in philosophy and religion, a midlife fascination. My spiritual perspective has matured since my 20s, and she's never been comfortable with that. Update: we met on Thursday and divided our household items, furniture, artwork, and more. She then demanded 50% alimony, which had me laughing. I told her there's no chance, and that I'd see her in court. I admitted my part in our marital issues, and for the first time, she admitted hers too. Tomorrow, I'm taking the kids to school and picking up some medicine for her. She knows I'm heading to the college homecoming with the kids. When we arrived at the college, our daughter refused to speak to her, which resulted in tears. I ended up sitting between them at dinner. I reminded her that we'd have to share a bed so the kids wouldn't have to sleep on the floor, but I assured her I wouldn't touch her. That night, she tried to flirt, but I didn't engage. The next day, we were still distant, but at least we were talking. We attended the game, and I enjoyed the company of some lovely ladies. Later, I took her shopping. She seemed unwell and out of it. At dinner, she started sharing her food with me. Her birthday is tomorrow, but she told me not to get her a gift. One of our kids texted her, asking her to stop using me, which left her in tears. Tomorrow I have a meeting with a realtor to secure an oceanfront condo. I yearn for her, but she's too distant now, so I'm moving to the condo this week. I crave emotional connection, but it's not happening now, if ever. I need to work on my issues with codependency. She handed over her second cell phone for me to keep. I know I messed up this weekend by being nice, but I still love her. I can't do the 180 if I'm here, so getting a condo is crucial. Our mediator suggested she's in a state of disconnection and will hit rock bottom once I'm gone. I'm packing up and leaving on Tuesday. I'm leaving her to fend for herself. I still have feelings for her, but I'm hoping that with time and distance, those feelings will fade. She wants her freedom, but isn't footing the bill. I decided to move out to shield my kids from further drama. Plus, if she moves him in, my attorney can use that to our advantage. I also wanted to create a clear boundary. She's had it easy all these years, so it's time for her to face reality. I needed to focus on myself, and I couldn't do that while still living there. I still love her inexplicably. I want to rebuild, but I also need to be prepared to move forward with my life. There's a slim chance of reconciliation, but only if she's willing to change. I thought this was the best way to find out. It's day 3 since I moved out, and I'm feeling much better. Things are looking up except for the kids asking questions. The emotional roller coaster continues. I secured an amazing new oceanfront condo yesterday, a beautiful 3-bedroom. One of my sons has already moved in with me. Then, while taking a walk on Ormond Beach, who do I run into but my soon-to-be ex and her other man? I turned and walked away, considering my kids and my medical license. It was tough, so I did the next best thing. I bought a new car, posted it online, and got some flirty messages. I was honest with them, but it felt good to converse with another woman. I've lost a significant amount of weight, going from 250 to 218 through diet and exercise. I've updated my wardrobe and got a fresh haircut. She, on the other hand, looks like she's wasting away. I didn't sign anything and told her to hand over the papers for my attorney to review. My main concern now is the kids. She agreed to let me have them for the entire week. I'm thinking about creating some new holiday traditions for them. Update. Life is pretty good. I'm having a blast with the kids, and I've met a couple of lovely ladies on Match and had dinner with them. One of them had an ex-husband who pulled the same nonsense, and I found a new best friend. Latest update. I've had more fun in the past month than I have in the last 5 years. Keeping things casual, I'm currently seeing 6 different women for dinner and social events. I've lost 40 pounds, bought a new surfboard, and I'm living the beach life. As for my soon-to-be ex, she continues to be a pain. I limit my interactions with her to discussions about the kids and finances. Everyone in town says she looks miserable. Karma, right? I offered her a fair deal, and we split all the property. She's insisting on an outrageous alimony amount, which I rejected, so she filed for divorce. She's got a bargain bin lawyer. Yesterday, when the moving van came to pick up my half of our stuff, she got emotional. What she doesn't know is that her boyfriend spilled the beans to me because she's been leaving our 12-year-old daughter home alone to spend time with him. I've gathered so much information now that I'm strategically taking steps to rebuild my life. I reached out to the bishop, requesting her removal from her roles as a Eucharistic minister and Sunday school teacher. They had a cruise planned for this week, thinking the divorce would be finalized by now, so he supposedly went alone. Last night, she was in a panic, telling her boyfriend that she's losing everything. She even admitted that I'm getting custody of the kids and that I've already secured a new house for them. What hurts the most is her twisted version of our marriage. She's telling everyone that while I was a great doctor, I was a terrible father and husband. She even had the audacity to tell church members that she had to leave because I was abusing medication. All for a guy she met on the beach just a few months ago. Update. Things are looking up. I've got a new waterfront home and shared custody of the kids. I've also met someone new, a stunning 41-year-old blonde lawyer with 2 daughters from her late husband. Her family owns the local bank. It feels surreal. My soon-to-be ex despises my new girlfriend, calling her a blonde bimbo. Meanwhile, she's still with her boyfriend, although he's apparently pulling away as the court date approaches. We're heading to mediation soon, and she's taking me to court on April 15th for temporary spousal support. She claims the $6,500 a month I've been giving her since October isn't enough. She's lost a lot of weight, down to 113 pounds, and looks gaunt. Quick update. She took me to court, demanding $10,000 a month. The judge awarded her $4,500, and ordered her to pay half the mortgage. When she argued she couldn't afford it, the judge asked if she had another place to live. She looked utterly stunned, absolutely priceless. Florida is ending permanent alimony on July 1st, so she's in a tight spot. Karma is finally catching up to her. The female judge saw right through her charade. The kids still avoid her, and her support network has dwindled to just her sister and cousin. Even her sister acknowledges she's in a bad state. She's also started drinking heavily. She told her boyfriend she doesn't want this to go to open court, so I made sure the judge knew about her lover. Her attorney tried to attack my relationship with my girlfriend, accusing me of spending money on her. I looked straight at my wife and said, "No, she's wealthy and takes care of me." My attorney plans to depose her before May 30th, hoping to pressure her into settling out of court for around $3,000 to $3,500. Plus, I'm going after my share of the real estate holdings she inherited 25 years ago, which I've been paying taxes on and improving. She'll have to buy me out or kiss her alimony goodbye. Looks like someone's heading back to work. I'm thriving, sitting on my dock tonight enjoying a cigar while my girlfriend and kids are inside watching TV. Meanwhile, my soon-to-be ex is dealing with the chaos she created. She and her lover are now at odds. She even walked into the same sushi bar where my kids and I were enjoying dinner with my stunning lawyer girlfriend. It almost feels too good to be true. The kids ignored her, and she ate alone. Mediation predictably reached a deadlock, so court is the next step. But she's been stalling since her lawyer told her the temporary support was the best she could hope for, and it's only downhill from there. She's in a real bind, which is exactly where she deserves to be. Life is good. I count my blessings every day. My lawyer is getting ready to depose my ex and her lover. Yes, I'll be there. She threw away a 30-year marriage, family, and long-term friends, and now she's rewriting our marital history. I wonder what she'll look like a year from now. She despises me, possibly because my girlfriend is beautiful and 12 years younger. My ex nearly jumped out of her chair when my girlfriend testified that we just returned from my daughter's college parents' weekend. Update. Judgment Day has arrived. I'm officially divorced. My ex only got a little over half of what she asked for in permanent monthly alimony. Since we're in Florida, it's $500 per kid, and she's responsible for 49% of the kid's medical, orthodontic, and dental expenses. The ironic part is, during mediation, she was offered the same amount as non-modifiable alimony, meaning she could have remarried and still received it until age 70, but she turned it down. I bet she's regretting that now. I guess I did all right. Half a year later, my girlfriend and I are engaged and navigating the challenges of a blended family. We're trying to get our 4 teenage girls to get along, 2 of mine and 2 of hers. That's going better now. My ex looks like she's been on something hard. People tell me they don't even recognize her. Her ribs are showing and her face looks sunken and wrinkled. My dad passed away in July at 93. Suddenly, my ex was calling me, wanting to be there for me. She showed up at the funeral home visitation for 2 hours, then stayed at my parents' house after the funeral for 4 hours. I ignored her. My fiancé was furious that she showed up. The only lingering emotional issue for me is that my ex has been showing up to my kids' football games. The kids won't talk to or interact with her at all. I fight the urge to punch her in the nose for all the pain she caused my kids. Those 2 cheaters are incredibly selfish. I get that it's a public venue, but seriously, after no contact other than necessary discussions about the kids, she suddenly asked me at the game last week if I was there to sit with her and our other kid, which I did since it was the child's birthday. Then she invited me to our kid's birthday dinner and wouldn't stop acting as if we had no history. She made a big show of handing me a $192 check for our older son's college tuition. She even drove it to my house despite me telling her to mail it. I'm like, what's your deal? Apart from being a narcissist seeking attention, I can't make sense of her. She's never really apologized. At one point, right after D-Day, I admitted to not meeting her emotional needs, contributing to our marriage's downfall. She mumbled an agreement through fake tears. After that, she was all venom and lies, justifying her affair. In my perspective, I handled the affair and aftermath like a champ. I came out on top, and she slithered away like the rat she is. I hope she realizes the gravity of what she's lost. She threw away everything for nothing. What does she have now? A cheating partner, no kids, and a diminished lifestyle. She gets to watch her ex-husband build a new, happier life while she's left with nothing. It's poetic justice.